Hey guys, it's Alicia. Today I am going to be trying out a new recipe for cheeseburger soup. It is cold out there and it's a perfect time to do a nice warm comfort food, which I think this is going to be. I am going to be taking a recipe that I found on Pinterest and I'm going to be altering it to make it more Weight Watcher friendly, lower calories, all that good stuff. And this is something I do quite a bit, but I thought I would take you guys along with me and show you how this specific one turns out. I'll be sure to link the original recipe that I'm going to be altering down below to give them credit. But like I said, I'm going to just be making some changes to that to make it more Weight Watcher friendly. But let me jump into the ingredients and show you what you're going to need to make this. First off, I've got a pound of lean ground turkey here. This is the 93% lean. If you use 99, it's going to be 0 points, I believe, but I'm always buying 93% because that's what I can get in bulk. Okay, next up, I've got some veggies here. I've got about 3/4 cup diced celery, about 3/4 cup diced carrots, and I dice those pretty small. I think the recipe's calling for them to be shredded. I didn't want to get out my food processor to shred those, so I just diced them really small. Then I've got a medium onion, red onion that I've chopped up. And then here is a medium bell pepper that I chopped up. This is not in the original recipe, but I like to add extra veggies. I think what else would be good in this, and if I had it, I would add it, would be mushrooms. So anyway, I like to bulk my stuff up with more veggies because no points, low calories, makes your servings a little bit bigger when you do that. Plus, it's a little bit healthier. So that's what I've got for veggies. Right here, I've got 3 cups of fat-free chicken broth. I'm gonna be using half of this brick of Velveeta 2% milk, or 16 ounces. I'm gonna be using 1.5 cups unsweetened almond milk, a 1/4 cup non-fat plain Greek yogurt. I've got some potatoes here. I'm gonna be aiming for around 4 cups peeled and diced of those. I'm also going to be using 4 tablespoons of this Brummel Brown made with real yogurt butter spread. That is going to be divided. And then here I've got a 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. I'm going to be using a couple teaspoons of this minced garlic. And then back here I'm going to be using a teaspoon dried parsley, teaspoon dried basil, and a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. The recipe is calling for salt. I tend to not add salt to most of the stuff that I make because we're always watching our salt intake. So most of the time I don't add salt to things, especially something like this that's got a lot of sodium in the Velveeta and a lot of sodium in the chicken broth. I will just individually salt the servings if they need it. But that is everything. Let me jump into making this. First thing I'm gonna do in a large pot here, and this is 5.5 quarts just for reference, is I'm gonna get my turkey cooking in there, and that's on a medium-high heat. And then while this is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and get my potatoes washed and peeled and chopped up. And then if I have time, I'll get my Velveeta chopped up as well. Now that my turkey's brown, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this from the pan and set it on a plate. And then back in that same pan, I'm gonna lower my heat to medium. I'm gonna add in a tablespoon of that Brummel Brown and my veggies. Teaspoon basil. Sorry, my Christmas clock was going off there. Teaspoon parsley. And a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. Then I'm gonna just let this cook in here until those veggies start to soften up. And I didn't get my cheese cut. I did get my potatoes all chopped, but I'm now gonna get my Velveeta cubed up while this is softening in here. Those veggies are softened, so now I'm gonna add in a couple teaspoons of minced garlic, and I'm gonna let that cook in there for about a minute or so. And now I'm gonna add in my chicken broth, my chopped up potatoes, and I did kind of an assortment of sizes. Some are bigger, some are little. Add those in, and then I'm gonna add back in my ground turkey. Give that all a good stir. I'm gonna increase my heat a little bit to medium high, and I'm gonna bring this to a boil. This is starting to come to a boil, so now what I'm gonna do is turn my heat down to low, and I'm going to put a lid on this and let this simmer for about 10 minutes or so, or until those potatoes have softened up. That soup is about halfway through its simmer time, so what I've got here in a small fry pan is I've got the remaining 3 tablespoons of that Brummel Brown, and I'm gonna just let that melt in there. And I've just got that on a medium heat. Now that that butter is melted, I'm gonna add in my 1/4 cup flour, and I'm gonna just cook the 2 of those together for a couple minutes. Okay, here's how mine is looking. It's definitely drier, I think, than what it was supposed to be. So I would recommend using 4 tablespoons of Brummel Brown and maybe even a tablespoon less flour, but definitely 4 tablespoons of Brummel Brown, and then start out with 3 tablespoons and see how it's looking. You want this to be kind of, well, much more moist than this is, not crumbly like this. So hopefully this is gonna work. We're gonna go ahead and add this in to our soup. This is just one of those examples of when you're following a recipe, sometimes things don't seem quite right, and if they don't, a lot of the times that means they're probably not right. And that didn't sound like the right proportions to me, but I went ahead and went with it anyway, and I shouldn't have. But I will alter that down in my instructions, like I said, to add more Brummel Brown and start with less flour. So I'm gonna get this mixed in here. My potatoes are definitely softened. I'm gonna stir this in, my roux in real well, and then I'm going to bring this back up to a boil. And when this comes back to a boil, I'm just going to cook it uncovered for a couple minutes. All right, I have been cooking this and stirring this for a couple minutes now, and it's looking good. That roux, I think, ended up being all right, even though, hey, it was a little bit off. Traditionally with a roux, what you want to do is equal parts flour and butter. So like I said, I kind of knew that wasn't what it should have been, and I should have listened to myself and done equal parts. But I will have that adjusted, as I said earlier, down in the instructions. But it worked out, so all's well that ends well here. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my cubed up, or kind of chopped up Velveeta here. I've just got that roughly chopped into little pieces. And a tip with the Velveeta, it cuts a lot easier if you refrigerate it first, which I did not do here, so got a little squished up. But if you want it to cut nicer, refrigerate it first. So I've also got my heat reduced down to low right now. And I'm gonna just stir that in just a little bit before I add in my milk. All right, now I'm gonna add in 1.5 cups of the almond milk. And stir that in. And I'm gonna just keep stirring this until that Velveeta completely melts in here. This is looking good. That cheese is all nice and melted in there. So now I'm gonna turn the heat completely off, and I'm gonna add in about 1/4 cup of the fat-free Greek yogurt and stir that in really well. Okay, that is looking good. So now what I'm gonna do is find out what a serving size is of this, and then we'll be back to give it a taste test. I got this all measured out, and I got just over 10 cups. So I'm gonna call each serving, well, I'm gonna break this into 8 servings like they have on theirs, and that's gonna be of about 1.25 cup each. So that's what I've got here, serving of that. And that is 8 points. We'll go ahead and give this a try. It smells really, really good, so I'm excited to give it a try and see what it tastes like. Okay, I got my hubby here. We're both gonna give this a try since this is a brand new recipe. Go ahead. What do you think of this? This is 8 points first off. I didn't add any salt, so keep that in mind. See if it needs salt. Oh,
let me get another one here.
Okay.
Doesn't need salt. That's interesting. So my palate was thinking cream of potato, but it's not. It's cheeseburger. And so it took me a second.
Because it looks like cream of potato.
Yeah.
That's good though.
That is really good.
That's really good.
It's, you know, really
hearty.
Really thick and creamy because of the Velveeta.
And I don't know if I can't really show this from the angle. I don't think, no, I can't. But it is, I don't know if that's helpful.
It's pretty
Probably
thick.
not. It's very thick from the Velveeta. Got a ton of flavor from the Velveeta.
Yeah, and then you're getting the trinity of vegetables, and then you get the ground turkey on the back end with the seasoning.
Yeah.
So yeah, very satisfying.
Really good.
How many points?
It's 8 for just. It's a little over 1 1/4 cup. Is a serving.
I think that's worth. I mean, because it's so hearty.
I don't think you would need more than that, right? Serving size.
That'd be very satisfying.
All right, guys. Well, that was cheeseburger soup lightened up. I hope you enjoyed. I think we enjoyed. We're gonna go finish this off, but thank you as always for watching, and we will see you on the next one.